Alright, to clean the potter's wheel, what I'm going to do is go ahead and collect all of my tools and put them into my bucket. And then scoop my bucket a little bit out of the way. Then you'll notice on the sides of your splash guard there are two little thumb tabs. If you press down on those, then the smaller half of your splash guard will pop out. And the larger half you can remove by just kind of pulling straight back, maybe even shimmying it a little bit toward yourself. Then you'll carry both splash guards, both halves, and your bucket over to the sink where you can clean things up. When you get your splash guards to the sink, it's really important to dump off the excess water, but not dump the clay chunks into the sink. Those you're going to just scoop out with your hands and make sure they find their way into a garbage can. Clay should not go down the sink because it will clog up the drain, and if it clogs up the drain, then we won't be able to use the sinks. And if we can't use the sinks, we can't really throw in the potter's wheel. So make sure that you take the time to get all of the extra clay out. Next, I'm going to go ahead and grab a sponge and wipe down my splash guards until all of the clay comes off. Not only on the inside, you can wring it out every once in a while, but also on the outside. The same thing goes for your tools. Dump all of the water out of your bucket. Remove your tools. Make sure there are no tools hiding in the clay. And then scrape the excess clay into the garbage can. Then I think it's really important to wash your hands first, because if your hands are covered in clay, then you won't be able to get your tools clean. Make sure your bucket is clean, and then run a clean sponge over every tool. Place the tools back into the bucket. Wring out your sponge and take it back to the potter's wheel so that you can clean off the wheel head and the surrounding areas. I like to use a rib tool to remove any extra clay so that I don't have to wipe it down too many times. Then I'm going to wipe down the wheel head until all of the clay is removed. This may mean that I need to wring out my sponge several times. And I'm also going to wipe down the rest of the surface area on my wheel as well. Don't forget to wipe around the edges. And when your wheel is clean, the splash guard should go back on. And you'll notice there's a little piece of plastic here that actually wedges underneath a piece of metal below the wheel head. To find it, angle this down, and then once you feel it, you can kind of shimmy it back on. It will stop so that it's centered around your wheel evenly. And then the smaller half will just go right underneath the two pegs that are on the larger half. tools back in the front, you're all set. One additional thing I'd like to share with you. Cleaning up the potter's wheel properly will probably take you about 15 minutes the first time. So please make sure you leave enough time to get the job done right. After that, once you've been through the routine a couple times, you'll get faster, so you won't have to leave as much time. But initially, please set aside about 15 minutes. Thanks, guys.